As cruise lines push hard towards the great restart, unfortunately, they are still sailing through some rough waters. We have the CDC still trying to flex their muscles using their influence to reinforce masking, cruisers confused on whether back-to-back sailings have the green light, and we have experts warning that cruising right now is a disaster waiting to happen. We'll be covering all these topics in today's video. Make sure you don't miss a second. Let's go!
Let's go!
Hey, what's going on everybody? My name is Jay and welcome to The Ship Life, the most diverse YouTube channel in the entire world on cruising. We do cruise ship tips, reviews, vlogs, news, and so much more. You want your cruise fix? I got you covered. So make sure you hit that subscribe button along with the notification bell. That way you get notified whenever I post my videos. So this past Friday, the almighty CDC decided to put out a brand new update, recommending that all cruise lines operating within the United States bring back masking both indoors and outdoors. This is of course due to the increased transmissibility of the COVID variants in the recent months, like of course the Delta variant. Now this new recommendation has been added to the CDC's official framework for conditional sailing. However, you gotta remember that the CDC cannot mandate anything when it comes to cruising operations in the United States. It's only guidance or recommendations. So for example, you got cruise lines like Royal Caribbean that have areas called fully vaccinated zones, which allow potentially these people in these fully vaccinated zones to not have to wear masks on board. They differentiate who's vaccinated and who's not with things like purple rubber wristbands. Now, this is something in particular that the CDC is targeting. They want people just to have a blanket order on board the ship and just wear a mask. That way you can avoid things like what happened on Royal Caribbean ship with the cruise ship Karen. We all remember her, right? So just to be clear, the cruise ship Karen incident wasn't the catalyst for the CDC putting out these recommendations. Again, it was the increased transmissibility of the COVID variants. However, the CDC did add on to these recommendations, stating things like when it comes to the crew, for example, even if they're in these fully vaccinated zones, especially indoors, they should still have on masks no matter what. When it comes to cruise ships that are 95% vaccinated, when it comes to the crew and the guests, they should always be wearing masks in every part of the ship because you have people on board that aren't vaccinated. Anyway, the CDC has also put out recommendations on testing even if you are fully vaccinated. They want you to test both before and after the cruise. They want you to test if you're doing a B2B sailing, which we'll talk about in a minute as well. And they also want you to test, of course, if you are unvaccinated and you're part of that 5% out of the 95% that are able to sail. Now, this isn't really a problem for Royal Caribbean, for example, because as of August 12th, they are requiring whether you're vaccinated or not to be tested at least 3 days prior to your cruise. Now, will the other cruise lines follow down the road? Probably, or maybe. I guess we'll have to see. Also, we do have to clear something up when it comes to Royal Caribbean and B2B sailings, as unfortunately there's been a little confusion after Royal Caribbean sent out an email to guests over the past week that contained an error. In a nutshell, when it came to cruise ship passengers doing back-to-back cruises on board Royal Caribbean ships, Royal Caribbean sent out an email stating that even if you are doing a back-to-back sailing and possibly staying in the same room, after that first initial cruise, you have to pack up all your stuff and clear out of that room. Now, this may sound kind of silly, but not really, and I'll explain the reasons why in a minute. But this was an error, and it caused Royal Caribbean to frantically, after they sent that initial email, hours later, send out another set of emails correcting their error that they made. So here's the deal. The protocols and regulations for B2B sailings are pretty simple, and this is what Royal Caribbean has corrected. If you happen to be doing a B2B sailing, yes, you can leave your stuff inside of your cabin, suite, stateroom, whatever you want to call it. However, you do have to disembark the ship in order to get tested again, and you also must once again show your proof of vaccination, so make sure you keep that on hand. However, for those people that are doing these B2B, Royal Caribbean has your back. Your testing is going to be complimentary. All you have to do is let guest services know that you are indeed doing a back-to-back sailing. Now, the confusion is understandable when it comes to this situation. This caused Royal Caribbean to kind of run around like a chicken with their head cut off due to all the changes going on in places like the Bahamas, with people having to be vaccinated that are 12 and up, and of course all the new recommendations with the CDC. It's a big mess. Now, when it comes to them having to, the guests in particular, having to take all of their stuff off of the ship, it's kind of understandable in order for cleaning and sanitation purposes, but at the same time, you got to remember that the cruise lines are kind of walking a fine line. They have to please the guest and the CDC in order to make sure the cruising experience is acceptable for everyone. Finally, for our last topic for today's episode, of course, while you guys are hitting that like button, it goes a very long way with YouTube, and it promotes it to more people when more people hit the like button and engage with the content, getting me to 100,000 subscribers. That way you all can see me cry with tears of joy. But anyway, we got to talk about a CNBC article that I recently stumbled upon talking about the safety of cruising. They're essentially saying, well, the experts are saying that cruising is not something people should do right now and saying that it's, quote, a recipe for transmission. Now, throughout the article, they do highlight points like sailings that are currently taking place that aren't fully vaccinated sailings. They talk about travel itself being a high-risk thing to do at this point in time with the pandemic that we're currently dealing with. They also talk about when it comes to being on board a cruise ship, it's easy for an outbreak to occur because you have everybody on board that's stuck on this giant floating hunk of metal and they can't really go anywhere. They also touch on the recent unfortunate passing of Marilyn Tackett. This was a woman that was on board the Carnival Vista that unfortunately, after a process of trying to get her from Belize back to her home in Tulsa, Oklahoma, she passed away due to COVID. But may she rest in peace, guys. Unfortunate situation, but this is something that they highlight in the article in order to kind of state their point as to why cruising is something a lot of people shouldn't do at this point in time. Now, I'm not going to dive too deep into this article. We've seen this time and time again. If you guys want the article, I will leave it in the description box below. But I will say this. For me, personally, I'm not going to stop cruising. I'm not leaving. Where's that quote from? There's a curse word involved, but we're not going to say it here because I don't want to get demonetized or in trouble with YouTube. I have cruises that I have booked. I am going to continue booking cruises, and I will make this very simple for everybody out there. If you don't feel safe cruising, don't cruise. I think that's kind of common sense. I still see people that are going on these cruises knowing the risks that are involved, like everything else in life and other parts of the world with this pandemic, and then they complain about how unsafe it is. There is safety factors everywhere you go, whether it be your Walmart, the nightclub, which also are very open right now with less risk. Personally, I feel much safer on a cruise than I do anywhere else in the world right now. But I am going to leave it here, guys. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comment section below. Guys, also, I have my group cruise coming up. I'll be doing a live stream later on today. Make sure you guys tune in at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll be talking about that, giveaways, and so much more. If you guys want to book a cruise, please make sure you check out our travel partner with our YouTube channel, Kimberly Sunset by the Sea. She will make sure your cruise is taken care of, hassle-free, and much more. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you later. Take it easy.